What's up, y'all? It's your boy Niner Faithful. How's everybody doing? I'm not even gonna say. I hope everyone's having a legendary week because I'm assuming y'all ain't. So yeah, um, you know, we know how. That's just a game of missed opportunities, and I think that's frustrating because a lot of games this year you can say, oh, okay, we didn't have Bosa, we didn't have Sherman, we didn't. What have I said many times on the show this season? Look, it gets to a point where you're like, hey, that team that was in the Super Bowl, in February, yeah, that's not the same team that's on the field. So obviously your expectations have to change somewhat. You feel me? But I think that's not the excuse. It's players that we assumed would. I don't know, bro. Like, I just don't expect. You don't expect Trent Taylor to not catch a punt. Like, I think when Kyle Shanahan, comes out and says, hey, he's got to catch that punt. Obviously, we weren't on the field, so we don't know if he was, give a Eric Davis today on the Believe in 49ers podcast was talking about how they had a call. Their call when he was on the Niners in Carolina was Peter. Peter. That basically means, get the hell out the way. So, we don't know if Trent Taylor went ahead and did make that call. I would hope he would have. And, it's literally like I remember when the play happened, I went outside and had a cigarette. And I remember just looking at my boy and I was like, bro, like, I don't know. Like it hits off his shoulder. It literally, like, basically bounced to him. Number 22. I'm not going to say his name because he's irrelevant in this podcast. He's number 22. I think that it's Richie James. I mean, he muffs one punt all season, and yeah, it was in the Super Bowl, but he muffs a punt. I mean, Kyle Manson on Candlestick Chronicles brought up a good point, and he's like, you almost couldn't forget that because physical mistakes are going to happen. Coaches always tell you, look, physical things are just going to happen. You're going to slip. Things like that are going to happen. That's just football. The show is what do I always say? That ball is, excuse me, that ball is oblong and shaped weird. So it's going to bounce crazy ways, And so I think that you have to be disappointed because let's just talk about the elephant in the room, playoffs. When you say, hey, this team can make the playoffs, we're still in it. We're still in it. You just have to, okay, 9-7. That's what Adam and I kind of set the bar at and said, hey, look, 9-7. So that's games you have to win. And the thing about it is it's not some fantasy. We could have won that game. And we should have won that game. And I understand it comes down to, okay, you have Nick Mullins versus Jimmy Garoppolo. Say whatever you want. That's a conversation for, I feel that, let's just say Friday. That's probably a subject that we will talk about, definitely. I think that you have to, hey, baby, how you doing? You have to say that it comes down to that, excuse me. Oh, I got a frog in my throat. I'm going to drink some Gatorade in a second. It comes down to, like, it's just that last interception. You're just like, man, like, you got to make that play, bro. I understand. Like, are we expecting too much out of Nick Mullins? I think that's clear. We're probably expecting too much out of Nick Mullins for what he can give us. He can come in and he can execute a game plan against the Giants, and the second half of the Jets, even though, you know, I feel frustrated because if how are you Robert Saleh and you go in, how are you Kyle Shanahan even? Let's just talk about the head coach. You look at your defense and you have to say we dropped the ball. How are you, Richie James? How are you some of these players? And you look at your teammates in your eye and you say, man, I dropped the ball. The defense played amazing. That's I think that's the best that we can expect to play on defense this year. Without Nick Bosa, without D Ford, without Sherman, although I do believe that he'll be back. We're gonna go ahead and bring in Adam right now. To calm my black ass down, like he always does. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Not too bad, my man. Just another beautiful Tuesday. How are you?
Legendary, brother. You know how I always am. Every day you wake up a 5-time champion, it's a good day. What's up,
That's
Jason?
true.
Bang bang. So
can we still use legendary after Quan being gone and being on the Saints?
Yes.
All right.
We can still use it because you know what? I don't feel that Quan had an impact in that game. I mean, yeah, he made some plays and he did his thing and he was Mr. Legendary and Mr. Energy and everything after there and very classy move. Of course, you see the brotherhood still is there between him and Quan Alexander. Jason shared it on the page today and everything like that. And I feel that we can because his impact is still felt on the Niners and it's felt through Fred Warner. Fred Warner is not the player that he is. He is not, everybody's starting to see what we have been saying on the show, what many of the faithful have been saying since last year. Fred Warner is the best linebacker in football. And he is not that player without Quan Alexander.
Probably not. I think I agree with you, especially all the leadership qualities. I'm not going to say stole, but, it's like influence and mentored to become the leader that he is today.
Yes.
I agree.
And I think, and so, we texted last night when I texted you, hey, bro, we're going to do the show at 3. And I said, how you feeling? And you said, look, get faded, get over it. And, we move on. And I said, hey, 24-hour rule, brother, at the end of the day. And I know I got pretty fired up at the beginning of the show because I feel that was me speaking as a fan, for a little bit because, hey, I mean, that was frustrating because I think we were both agree. I think the faithful all can walk away and feel that we should have won that game. It was definitely, I said right before I brought you on, that's the best we can expect the defense to play in 2020 for the rest of the season, considering who we were without that game and will continue to be without throughout the season. I think that's the best performance you can expect from the defense.
Right. I mean, they sure as hell got started that way and obviously going up 10-0. And I knew you're playing the Saints and you're playing at their house and obviously coming to find out, we knew that Drew Brees wasn't 100%. I mean, but we weren't at the end of the day, like we kind of talked about, 10-0 was essentially nothing, but it was a good start.
Yeah,
and it just felt, and at the end of the day, talking to my 49ers brother and my own literally brother myself, I think it came around to we're just too depleted to overcome the mistakes and turnovers. And once again, and I hate to use it too, because if we get a good call, it seems like it's been a while since we've gotten a nice little freebie call that changed the momentum. But it literally has happened to us several times lately, and we all know that Drew Brees it. And I think if he was healthy, and that's what I told you, if he was healthy, I think it was a late flag, as we all remember. So if he's healthy, I don't think he stays on the ground and really seems as injured. Yeah. But because he was injured, they pre-assumed that Kentavious Street put that extra oomph and juice into the hit. So then they felt forced to call it, which ended up kind of shifting the momentum, as we know. So
look, we'll go ahead and call it
enough to overcome it.
Yeah, I think that great point. Yeah, exactly. I think that when you look at it and you remove the fan hat and you put on the analyst hat, you say, look, the 49ers, like I said, when I first got on air, it gets to a point when you say, hey, that team that was in the Super Bowl that was, 7 minutes away from winning a championship, that's not the team on the field, And I think as we spin into the positiveness of it, I think that overall, as you and I like to take a overall bigger picture, because hey, regardless of what happens on Sunday, we will be there the next Sunday. So
or the Sunday after.
I think, yeah, and what after the season after that. But
Yeah.
so I think that the big overarching feeling, and I think DeForest Buckner knew what he was doing. He was pulling at the faithful heartstrings. Even I was like, oh, damn, bro, that hurt. Because you knew he really did pour out his heart and soul for this organization. You know, and he checked every box that you would want in what is a 49er. That's what we want of a 49er.
And the crazy point is, Arik Armstead is his boy too, and I'm sure that was tough, and I'm sure he would love to say the truth 100% of like, you kidding me? You kept Arik over me, essentially. I mean, he wants to say that. Jamal Campbell had a great game, got his first career sack, good for him, but he's still no Defo and Arik Armstead, in my opinion, will never be a Defo, and the only reason you can do that is because he's here. Go on, though. I'm sorry.
I think that what we've seen of Arik Armstead is that he needs Nick Bosa. He needs a speedy edge rusher. I clearly notice I did not see D Ford because, look, I love the man and he's a beast when he's on the field, but it's an issue when you're not on the field, brother. So sorry,
he's gonna be gone, I think.
Yeah,
but yeah, I agree. We talked about that last year. There was a reason. A reason Arik Armstead got 10 sacks last year.
Yeah. And even on the position, like, look, he's clearly a D tackle. I mean, fine in the run game and everything like that. Okay, cool. Awesome. You know, I think eventually the Niners might want to look at, obviously everybody would like this, but you would want to look at a 3-down defensive end so you could have Bosa and Arik Armstead as permanently in at the D tackle position, and you have Kinlaw and D Ford, or even
I think even
Armstead and
a 3-down light lineman, and I don't know what his ceiling is, to be honest. Obviously,
Kerry Hyder,
but I think he can be a 3-down lineman, and I think Nick Bosa can play the big air position. I don't know if I would do it coming off a torn ACL, but I think he has the strength for it.
Yeah, I wouldn't not necessarily.
And Blair's coming off a torn
really
ACL
test
too.
That. Yeah, but even maybe low key Kerry Hyder. If you put Kerry Hyder in a position where we're like, look, Kerry, we're just putting you in rundowns. You know, we're not looking at you to be our 3-down, edge rusher, our turbo package, NASCAR package, whatever you want to call it.
He's a perfect player X. Natural spot, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think that's a role that you would look at going forward for Kerry Hyder and say, hey, definitely something that you would assume at Ronald Blair, but like you said, coming off of ACL might not necessarily be exactly what you would necessarily want for Ronald Blair, who it's low key. I talked to a good friend of mine. Matter of fact, we're going to go ahead and say this. A good friend of mine, Brian from Niners Radio, went ahead and sent me this. He has a giveaway that he's doing, and so sponsored by the Golden Heart Fund. And let's be real, this is all come down to money, blah 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 blah. But look, the Golden Heart Fund is special to me because that was Dwight Clark's favorite foundation, and let's be real, Dwight Clark gave his life for this organization. There's a reason the catch is the most memorable play in this franchise history. And so when things come up that are sponsored or have to do with the Golden Heart Fund, I have to, for morally, I can't be a man who says, oh, we got five, and not give props to number 87.
He was a jump start of everything. I know that.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I remember the first year I remember ever learning about the catch was they AAA had came out with a flip book that had the catch in and explained what it was and everything. And my one of my teachers got it for me, and I remember finding out. And I asked my grandpa about it, and he told me about the catch and everything like that. And
that's probably worth some money.
Yeah, I don't have it.
I'm just saying.
Storages, bro. Anyway, yeah. I'll tell you this. My hope is anytime I lose anything, straight up, like anytime it's just like, hey, it's gone. There's nothing I can do about it. My only hope is, hey, I hope whoever comes up in front of it, I don't care if it's Bud. I've lost Bud before. And straight up just been like, you know what? I hope whoever has it gets the most stoned they'll ever be in their entire life.
Yeah, I didn't go in a sewer.
If I gotta lose it, I hope it's the world's greatest come up. Because I've been in positions, bruh, where I've been blessed. You know what I'm saying? I've been in a rough spot and I've been blessed.
Yeah, hopefully
you know what I'm saying?
Somebody was walking down the street and was having a rough day, rough week, rough year. Was like, yes.
I would hope, by over dramatic ass, I would really honestly hope that, you know what, maybe somebody was off to go do something stupid. I was just like, oh shit, huh? You know what I'm saying? And look, it's funny. You know, I've been in positions where, you know, I've seen and been a part of some things, bro, where, you know, maybe reaching out and just letting somebody know that, hey, bro, I love you. You know what I'm saying? Would have really changed some things. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so you can go ahead and hit up Brian. And Niners Radio and the 49ers are teaming up for a memorabilia giveaway this Friday. Just pick 2 numbers in the post for $10 each. Go ahead and hit up Brian or go to the 49ers Niners Radio Facebook page, and it'll be there, you know, and everything like that. If you have $10 to spare for a number, I've seen the merchandise. It's authentic. You feel me? Brian's a reputable dude. You feel me? He would not put it out there if it wasn't real deal. You feel me? Or if he actually honest. To be honest,
it's the holidays. Yeah, holidays are coming up. But yeah, I can vouch for Brian, and that's a very great thing. I wish I could do more things like that.
Yeah, if you if you want to give a present to a certain radio station for a giveaway, you know, and everything like that, you know, wouldn't necessarily be a bad.
Some people.
Yeah, wouldn't necessarily be bad, but so definitely if you have the opportunity to, like Adam said, 'tis the season, you know, please do, you know, if you mention Niner Faithful Radio, we'll try to, you know, we'll try to match, you know, a ticket, you know. You can just go ahead and drop it off there, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, don't worry. Take care now.
Yeah, you too, bro. So dinner. So
I'm sure we'll look further into that and perhaps try to match something. Yes. If not, we'll definitely make sure and do
of course,
something like that and throw it out there.
Also, we're releasing our Faithful Then, Faithful Now line. Go ahead and go to Niner Faithful Radio Shop's Facebook page or ninerfaithfulradio.com/shop, and you can get it there. I think the t-shirts are honestly, you know, perfect for now because I think, get back to the DeForest Buckner situation, I think the best part of the week was, you know, it's Javon Kinlaw and Brandon Ayuk. And of course, Brandon Ayuk has been doing it essentially pretty much, you know, since he's, you know, asserted himself as, dare I say, the number 1 receiver target. You know, obviously, when healthy and everything like that, George Kittle is the number 1 target on this team. You know, maybe later than his career. Yeah,
he's becoming a 1C. Firm.
Yeah, he's coming in a situation where this season, you know, whether playoffs, look, let's win a couple games. Let's beat the Yams, and you know, maybe shock Buffalo on Monday night. You know, and then let's really start talking playoffs. You know, let's not be 4-7, you know, or 5-7, you know, and you know, before we start talking playoffs. But going forward, this season is definitely about whether playoffs or not. This season is about picking out, hey, this player right here, as we transition to our reasons for hope, like we do after every loss, you say, hey, these players right here are players that you look and say, hey, they're reasons to have hope going forward. And you know, I think Javon Kinlaw, look, it's no secret. I think it's unfair, but it's reality. It's football. Lost Adam for a second. It's unfortunate. It's football, but he's always going to be compared to DeForest Buckner.
Yeah, I mean, Steve Young was always compared to Joe Montana. I mean, yes. So I think
that's
okay.
What's the worst you can do?
Especially when you get rid of that one person to keep the other, right?
Yeah, And I think even look in the minds, let's not be unrealistic. In the minds of a lot of faithful, the quarterback level for this franchise will forever be Joe Montana. And if you're not Joe Montana, you're just not good enough. Even for us. I remember honestly looking, and we've seen some bad Niner quarterback play over the years. And
especially during the dark years.
Yeah, over
Ken
the dark
Dorsey,
years.
Tim Rattay, JT O'Sullivan, Cody Pickett,
Chris Winkie,
Trent Dilfer.
Oh God. So
Chris Winkie started for us.
Yes, Chris Winkie. That's
Only
always
one or two, but good gosh.
I like to answer a lot of the Niner trivia questions and everything like that. And apparently last week, Matt Mayoko and the Denim Dungeon podcast and a bunch of people were part of this Niner charity thing. And they were talking about it on their podcast, and they said, one of the questions was start history of the Niners starting quarterbacks. And so obviously everybody goes for the obvious ones and everything like that. And I started thinking to myself, like, okay, the bar to me is always, hey, look, you were of age to remember football. You were a fan. The bar is always, okay, who was the quarterback then to me? And there's always one or two you forget or whatever, But Chris Winkie's always one that sticks to my mind because that's the one that a lot of people will forget. Everybody could name Ken Dorsey. He was obviously a high-profile pick. Came in the same year.
He was like a 6th or 7th round pick.
Yeah, but he was Ken Dorsey.
Yeah, he was known in college. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I mean, so was Chris Winkie. I think Chris Winkie won a damn Heisman, if I'm not mistaken.
So you weren't intrigued by Ken Dorsey and said, hey, we did see it in college. He did do a lot of winning in college.
I just remember I was like, what the hell? I mean, we had hopes
obviously of the pick of the year. In hindsight, obviously the pick of the 05 draft. The pick of the 05 draft is Frank Gore, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Which is our 3rd round pick. So, Chris Winkie's always just kind of one. But I remember I said, hey, look, like, I don't remember Joe playing. You feel me? But I've watched live highlights, all that, classic games, all that stuff that, I know Joe Montana's the greatest quarterback ever. When it mattered the most. And so even I remember I said, hey, look, I remember Steve Young. You feel me? I always talk about, vividly burned in my brain is the image of Steve Young laying on the turf in Arizona.
Oh yeah, I'll never forgive Williams for that either.
I'll never forget the feeling in my stomach. Me
neither.
And I said, hey, even Jeff Garcia. Look, I think Jeff Garcia is the curse of Steve Young. Is the worst thing to be is the guy who follows a legend. And so I was like, yeah, but I see some good quarterback play. I had to watch Nick Mullins. It's look, to people who say he's an NFL starter, he's not an NFL starter for a playoff team.
I mean, I think we've seen till this point now, and the story is not over on him.
No,
I will admit that. Perfect analogy once again. Put a gun to our head. Am I trading for Nick Mullins this offseason if I'm a team thirsty for even quarterback competition? Not even the starter. I mean, I would say no. And he's going to be a restricted free agent next season if I'm not mistaken. I can definitely see him coming back. I don't know. Like I said, I'm sure we're going to dive into that soon. Kyle Shanahan says, like we've talked about, I figured he's possibly want to get one last look at him, at least a game. I think possibly maybe even 2, but I would like to see him at least play 1 game. And he said he expects him to be the 2021 starter. And I said before, you put a gun in my head, is he going to be the starter? Yeah, probably by default. But that is definitely coach's talk is what I said on Twitter. I mean, it depends on where we fall in the draft, what quarterback could be available via draft or free agency or via trade. But yeah, he's a starter by default, and I think that's good old classic coach's talk where you simple. What is he going to say? No, I'm very unsure about Jimmy at this freaking time. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest about that. Obviously, Jimmy. I mean, hey, he pulled the trigger for Jimmy. I'm sure originally it wasn't John Lynch saying, "Hey, we have to have Jimmy Garoppolo." Done deal. And Shannon was like, "Okay." No, it was definitely Shannon. Once again, we all thought we were going to get Kirk Cousins. We traded for Jimmy, and we made our bet on that one.
Yeah.
But we won at freaking games. And, he had a great game against the Rams last time. 3 touchdowns, 23 for 33, almost 300 yards.
Look,
and he's not going to be around this time around. So this is where Moles needs to show out a little bit, especially with guys returning on offense.
I think that the story of Jimmy Garoppolo is you look at this, is you say, hey, you come off of probably one of the low points at that point, definitely, of the Kyle Shanahan era, the loss to Philadelphia. You're beaten to hell, literally, and everything happens, and you get a call, and you say, hey, you have an opportunity to look at Jimmy Garoppolo for a second-round pick. Okay? And the one thing I love about Lynchahan is when they see an opportunity to make this team better, and it makes sense, they go for it.
Yeah, especially when you have a guy like Pride that can do some magic with contracts, and we can create space. We can create a lot of space this offseason, and Jimmy Garoppolo is one of them. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that. So you go, you see the team, you see a man take the team who didn't really know the offense. Okay, you see a man take the team that just went 1-10 to 5-0. He beat some playoff teams. The game that sold me, honestly. The Titans game, I started to think about it. I ain't gonna lie, I got a little emotional at the end of it and everything. But the one that really, really that made me say that, well, no, I always get emotional against the Titans because they were the team that played the Niners the first game I went to. We won, so anyway, I always hate the Titans. But
all right,
because they almost won. But anyway, so
to me it was the Jags because they ended up going to the AFC Championship game and they were half away.
That was the game to me. Is that Jimmy made throw? Oh, Jalen Ramsey. Oh, he didn't shred us. But I remember writing a blog for Nothing But Niners where I pointed out throws that I was like, no, Jimmy was dicing them. Jimmy was making throws that it's like you look and you're like, damn, that's some elite type of shit.
And usually that's when you're a little salty. You can bring up scheme. Will Patrick Mahomes be as good if he didn't have the surrounding talent Andy Reid? I don't think he would. But you can't be like, Joe Montana. Perfect analogy
was
too.
System quarterback.
The system is going to help you look better, possibly. But yes, at the end of the day, you still got to make the throws and everything. But what I will say about that, Jimmy, and I hope maybe one day we can see it again. And that's why I want to see one more game, especially if we're not even in. Maybe we're just doing it to go 500. Maybe some wild snowball's chance in hell. Hopefully, maybe there's an 8th spot added to the playoff picture if some games have to be canceled because of COVID. I really would hope. That's what I'm not praying for it. But obviously, I would love for something like that to happen. But I want to see him play without pressure of once again, the free Jimmy G, the 2017 end of it when you're playing with nothing to lose, Jimmy. I would love to see one last little game, and hopefully Kittle and all that are back, so you kind of have that early 2021 preview possibly of what things can kind of look like, even with some injuries. But yeah, I want to see him play with nothing to lose and go out there again. And I'm surprised. It's probably why Nick Mullins makes the mistakes that he's making. It's because he can't play as free, compared to 2018, where we knew we weren't probably going to go anywhere as much. We were all praying. But he's not able to play as free because we are still technically in the playoff hunt. You know what I mean?
It's like this. It's to me. Okay, so you take it. You go and you say, hey, we have a lot of cap space in 2018, 2019, right? Let's front load this contract, right? Bite the bullet when we have the cap space. And then 2019, 2020, right before we have to make the decision, I think they circled the 2021 offseason. They said, hey, this is when we're going to have to make some decisions. Right? The first draft class all becomes free agent.
You just have to give yourself the flexibility as well of
exactly.
Let's just say Richard Sherman was still playing at all-pro level. Wouldn't you say Richard Sherman would probably be for sure back if he was playing at all-pro level still? I think now, obviously, like I said, I've expected him to be gone, and I guess I kind of expected him to be gone before the season. That's just what my gut was. But if he was still playing at an all-pro level and was healthy, and that's why he has 6 games to go, let's see how he looks. But if he was playing all-pro season the whole entire year, then Jason Verrett never gets his chance probably.
Yeah.
He probably would have because Emmanuel Mosley eventually got injured, missed some games or whatever. But you get what I'm saying. It would have been hard to possibly still let him go, especially if you. I mean, it could still happen if he takes a very team-friendly contract. But I think we're just so cash-strapped to a certain point, even though we can create further cap space. Where I just still think we're going to move on. My priorities would be bring back Jason Verrett with an X amount of guaranteed money because he has injury history. And then obviously Emmanuel Mosley is going to be a restricted free agent, so that's kind of a gimme. But those are two for sure. And I don't know about everybody else, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that you make it a very, you don't want to disrespect Jason Verrett,
I mean,
but you want to make it
overall.
Exactly. But you don't want to say, hey, look, I think the problem that we did with this team is I don't feel that we got better in a lot of areas. And when I look at
Did you need to?
Did we need to?
I think we kept the boat afloat, but it's just obviously been a crazy of a turn of events of bad luck and injuries.
True, and I understand. That's why I don't want to say give a pass, but I want to say, hey, look.
Let me ask you this: where did you feel like we could have upgraded at, but we and we didn't going into the season, coming off a Super Bowl that we should have won?
Interior O-line.
So, but I mean, Richburg, we probably knew Richburg was going to be week one ready, but I guess there wasn't a second alternate plan to Garland in case he went down, which we did.
Yeah. Now, I'll give you some credit that if you look at Kyle Shanahan and you say, hey, you're going to lose D Ford or Nick Bosa, right? Obviously, he would obviously pick D Ford, but still, okay, fine. But you're going to lose Nick Ford and D Bosa, Nick Bosa. Fuck. Okay. I'll say Sherman and Verrett are kind of a wash. If you say, hey, look, you lose Sherman, right? So maybe leadership or whatever, but the play is obviously, not that much of a drop off. So, okay, fine. Okay, you're going to lose Jaquan.
Fair.
Okay, they'll take that. They'll be like, okay, fine. That's not supposed to crumble our season. Okay, yeah, you're going to miss Jaquan Tart, whatever. Okay, fine. You're going to miss Debo. Okay, but it's the accumulation of everything. You feel me? Then it starts to get like, well, fuck, what do you want us to do? It's like, okay, I understand. If Kyle Shanahan, if you would have told him, hey, look, Horonis Grossi is your starting center at some point this season, he's looking at like, holy shit, what do you want me to do?
Yeah. And it took Shanny this long to put Brunskill at center and then Tom Compton at right guard, which is help, and it's gonna help. Thankfully, Garland did play the last game against the Rams, but I do think that's better. Brunskill and Compton on the inside are better than Grossu and Brunskill at right guard.
Of course, I do. But what do you always say? It's the Jerry's and Joe's, not the. It's the Jerry's and Joe's, not the X's and L's. So I mean, at the point you need some legit. As Eric Davis says, you need some damn dudes. You need some players to take it over. But I think what Shanahan's saying,
a lot easier said than done. And no disrespect to him, I don't care that he was a former player. It's easy to say that, but when you have the accumulate, once again, every team has their injuries, but we know damn well not everyone has had the impact on them that the 49ers have had resulted in. Or I'm sorry, the 49ers have had the presence
Adam,
of.
let me ask you this.
So, I mean, what did he want? To be a Pro Bowler?
Football 101. What are you going to say are your most important positions most important positions on a football team? What you're going to say? Quarterback?
In my opinion.
Okay, so quarterback. You're going to say somewhat, center, right?
O-line, D-line.
Okay.
Yeah.
O-line, D-line. Okay. Maybe corner. That's probably about what you're going to say the most important positions, and some type of offensive receiver, tight end, whatever, i.e. George Kittle. Okay. Right. Brandon Ayuk, Debo. So when you go to a coach and you say, "Hey, look, you're going to lose your best players," okay, I point some of your best players overall on your team, and these players are your best players at their most important positions. You're going to lose your edge rusher, your damn dude. I'm getting the quarterback. I'm tackling Taysom Hill behind the line. I'm intercepting passes and damn near doing a pick six. If I wasn't a D lineman, I would have. It would have been a pick six. And this for him to do what he did is still amazing, for especially considering he's a D lineman. You feel me?
Yeah,
I'm making those type of plays. You're going to lose him. You're going to lose your highest paid offensive, or well, your tight end. Your highest paid offensive weapon. Your best
your second and third best
player.
weapons in Debo and Raheem, in my opinion. But
Okay.
thank God those guys are returning. I mean, it's gonna be. We beat the Rams last time by 8. So I don't know if you saw my tweet. I put the players who were. So we don't have Kittle, but at least we can have Jordan Reed last game. He's able to take some of that blow right there. Last game, by the way, Ayuk only had like 11 yards, if I'm not mistaken. Samuel had his impact, obviously in that game, and I think that was his first game back, if I'm not mistaken. But I think we still kind of match up well, and especially in a do or die. I mean, we're going to go hardest we probably have seen this team. And I honestly am getting the gut feeling again, and I'm not trying to have a homer talk. We beat them last time by 8, which is still a one-possession game with a 2-point, but I still think we match up good enough. They're going to be without 2 starters, most importantly, left tackle Andrew Whitworth and the pre-safety Taylor Rapp. I think those are 2 significant kind of hits, especially when you're going against Kyle Shanahan's offense. And obviously, we don't know what Jared Goff is like when he's under pressure. So even though we're without our top 3 edge rushers, being without their left tackle, it's pretty big, significant. For the run game too, that's been a lot better for them this year. So I'm getting the gut feeling that we can go and upset them.
I think the key is that we get into a close game. It's a close game, and it's like you said, Jared Goff doesn't play the greatest under pressure. And let's be real. As far as offensive mind, I think obviously we know Kyle Shanahan's superior than just Sean McVay. So you say, hey, look, we got the better coach. You could, I don't want to say better defense, because I'm sorry, Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, but it's, I think in a tight, close game, we pull it out.
What do they always say? Possession game as well. Whoever wins the classic turnover battle, time of possession.
Yeah, the classic. Your insert, typical division game, talk here. To win the turnover battle. These teams know each other so well. All that, especially with McVay and Shanahan. So I think that, yeah, it's a 1 possession game, and you go in and you say, hey, we're gonna get it done. This is, to me, a game that I need to get. If the Niners are gonna win this season and do some things, we're just not gonna be a losing team. Really, when it comes down to it, Kyle Shanahan is to me. I need him to win us a game where it's, hey, I'm one of the best offensive minds, and I'm a damn good coach. And we're a damn good coach.
This would be the game to do it when you have a few people coming back.
Yeah, and exactly. If you add that, hey, we got some people coming back. Everything I've heard about Sherm is that he's trending to play. Obviously, there's setbacks, whatever, woo, but he's set to play.
He needs to play this week. I don't care, honestly speaking. I don't care if he has limited snaps, because we need him so we can slide Jason Verrett, in my opinion, at slot when they go into the 3 wide receiver sets, especially being without Quan Williams. But I mean, he wanted to play against the Saints. I'm almost going to guarantee 99% he's going to play. Like I said, I don't care if he's limited. I don't care if he only plays in certain packages. He has to play. I mean, if you feel something, Sherm, and you want to take yourself out of the game, go ahead. But you got to start, or you got to play. You got to play.
It's a point where I think that as a point where the leader, the alpha dog of the D, all that, it comes to a point where you need to be out there. If you want to end,
long or something, right? Even if it's 30 long.
I think Richard Sherman would. I think Richard Sherman had a talk with the Killer Witherspoon. about that Dolphin game situation. We won't dig into that. That maybe be a discussion for Friday, but in order to hold that type of weight and to have conversations about, the four-letter word that Dante Whitner called him, you need Richard Sherman to be out there. You need Richard Sherman saying, look, if I'm not going to play this week, I'm being told I'm not playing. You feel me? I think that needs to be Richard Sherman's mindset. If
and,
I'm
and
not
I don't
gonna,
know how Kello got behind the 8 ball so much when you're in a contract here. I mean, we all remember. I forgot his name already, and I don't care. Against the Dolphins, right? What was the guy's name that we got? Who started at cornerback then?
Brian Allen.
Thank you. That's how bad we were missing a number 2 cornerback.
Yes. This is to me is I never like to overlook things at the time, but I do believe things that happen are a dictating of certain things. And I never thought it was a big deal going into when I heard it. But the fact to me that Ahkello Witherspoon looked, and you said the 2 players I look at, famously that let's be real, I've heard rumors that it might be Ahkello that gets cut when Sherman comes back because we will have to make a roster move. I think the 2 things that I look at those players and I hear about is Ahkello saying that his aspiration after the NFL was to be a doctor, which as a brother and everything like that, I support that. We need more, doctors in the Black community, obviously. Less athletes, more doctors. And Dante Pettis saying he wanted to be a photographer. And I'll never forget something.
Their heart was never 200% into it going in, even.
And I'll never forget something about this is obviously we look back in hindsight and we call it the last hurrah of Vernon Davis. A lot would say the play that changed his career was a hit by Cam Chancellor.
It was. I don't care if he still played after. He was nowhere near the same.
Yeah. And I'll look at you this way. I think it was mysteriously after that. I don't think it was a mistake that Vernon started coming out with Jamba Juice and was painting and all that type of stuff. You feel me? I've always heard that football
is preparing for his afterlife.
Yeah, I think that I've always heard football is a sport that, like you said, you have to be 200. I always say 149% into it. And the second that you start to think about what you're going to do after, it's probably time to start hanging them up.
I think people have already said that, where when you start thinking, you're already 1 foot out almost.
Yeah.
It's just like a job. It's just like a regular job. I mean, I hate to compare it. It'd be like me thinking, man, I can't wait till I leave this job. I'm already 1 foot out if that was my mentality. Doesn't mean you're not going to do your job anymore.
You're really, honestly, you're just looking for a reason to put that second foot out the door. That's all you're really looking for. You're looking for an opportunity to say deuces at that point.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I'm not blaming people. Look, I'm not saying that I couldn't even handle really high school football. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't that good. So I can't imagine, being on the pro level. So I never like to seem like I'm so better than everybody else and look at me sitting in my comfy chair and judging these players. No, I don't like to seem like that because, man, the team,
I think that's when fans, though, say, man, I wish I had your God-given ability and size and all that. And then you feel like, and that's why a lot of people develop hate and I guess I'll leave it at that. Hate towards certain people. Envy me. Yeah, that's a better word right there. But because you're already in it. You're already in that position and you're not taking advantage of it, or you're simply not putting everything into it because we know you can be that player. Cough Dante Pettis, for example. But it just never came around. And I don't know if that's because he got literally butthurt over how Shanny treated him and God knows who else. I mean, who else would he have a problem with? I feel like Shanahan would be the only one he could be mad at. So apparently,
honestly, if you really want to look at it,
forgave him for whatever he said. Because I mean, rookie year, all that, his talent, his separation, his route running. I mean, that's undeniable.
This is when you talk to me about Dante Pettis. There's 2 things to come up. Honestly, I think he was pampered his whole life.
Yeah, we talked about that. He's always been the best one. He's always started, all that.
Pro baseball player. He lived in the rich boy neighborhood, and everything like that. And he was Dante Pettis. And look, I won't comment on what I personally think it is, because I don't want that to represent Niner Faithful Radio. But clearly Dante Pettis had something happen in his life. He came out and said as much. And he really seemed like he wanted to say it, but for some reason held back. And some people might make some judgments on what exactly that was, and, they may be right, they may be wrong. But
what are we talking about?
Clearly, something happened with Dante. He talked about in the offseason this year, and he said, there was something in my life that happened.
What do you think happened?
I'll get into it. I think he came out the closet.
I was literally just thinking possibly sexuality.
Yeah, and I don't think it went over well with his pops or whatever situation. Okay, so fine, I'll come out and say it. Really, honestly, give two shits about that. To me, honestly, no. I want to make this really clear, since I came out and said this. I need to come out and say this. One of my best friends is lesbian. Okay, my little brother who killed himself, rest in peace, little bro, was gay. I'm the first one he came out to. You feel me?
And
so I want to not say this is all is not about a gay thing.
No,
this is
I was just about to say, you get that out of the way
of coming out and playing a sport like football, where, let's be real, that shit ain't tolerated. You feel me? In my locker room, you feel me? That shit was not going down.
Well, I was going to say right now, do you think that had an issue with among at least the whiteouts and stuff? I think we do have the locker room.
I don't think so. I don't think so, because I've never heard any issues with Katie Showers. And Katie Showers is lesbian. Now, maybe people are more accepting of lesbians than gay men. I think that's a stereotype that's out there. You feel me?
That's a definite fact right there.
Yeah, and fine. I would feel that way, but I don't want to, speak to anybody else's experience. I'm not a gay man, so I can't speak to that.
I'm just saying, how things are usually perceived. I think there is a double standard where lesbians are more accepted than gay guys.
I think. Look, I'm not gonna lie to you and think that every single player among the receivers, I like to think they're a tight-knit group. You feel me?
That's what I'm saying. And I feel like he always got along well. We've seen videos where he's hanging out with KB and yada yada.
Every single player in that locker room, and not even and look, I remember. I'll speak to this situation, and I'm sorry if this offends anybody or anything, but I'm gonna keep it real. My dad was not cool when my brother came out the closet. He was always in denial about it to the day he died. You feel me?
Yeah. And here's what I will say, though, without getting too deep. Sorry to cut you off there, but he did have a strong camp, which was another disappointing factor for me. So he did go through whatever. I think it could easily be. It could be that. I think it could also be he's had one too many maybe girl problems where he always gets the rug swept underneath him. That shit bothers a lot of people. It happened to me when I was younger.
Look, I think there's somebody who, I'll put you this way, somebody who I would believe would be in the know. Not somebody from the Niners locker room, but it is somebody who talks to some players in that locker room. And even in his rookie year, there were already players saying, yeah, he's gay. He just hasn't came out about it.
Who said that?
I can't say it. But it is.
I've never heard.
I put that on my Niner tab.
Okay.
There's somebody who legitly would know. Was like, yeah, and
fine. Here's what I also ask you.
This is the disappointing part. Is he did have a strong camp. I think he did come in with the right mentality. He came in where he clearly benching him in the Super Bowl worked. Okay, cool. You're benched in the Super Bowl. We're like, look, we're not even going to give you a uniform for the Super Bowl. If that don't wake you up, nothing will. And so I believe. And so whether it was what I said it was or not, something happened with Dante Pettis, where the fire and the whatever we saw in camp, and you know what I think it is? I think it was after the first game. I think it was when he after the Arizona game. When he was sit there and it was okay, Dante, let's go. Right? This is you. Right? It's he said, okay, I went in, I bust my ass in camp, and I'm doing everything they want me to do, and you know, his one catch, he alligated. You know, I feel that it wasn't the fact, oh my God, he could get up with that. It was just, hey, look, the effort. And I really felt like he really just felt like I busted my ass for this.
Yeah, they didn't get that many opportunities and stuff. And Samuel was out the first week.
I feel that he felt it was the same thing. I'm just not getting the ball. You feel me? They're on me about I busted my ass 7 out of 10 routes, and they're on me about the 3 routes I didn't bust my ass on. You know, and it just clearly didn't work. And so that is really my thought about Dante Pettis. Akilla Witherspoon, I think it really can't. Look, when you have Dante Hittner come out and call somebody soft, which is a 4-letter word to a football player, you question somebody's, you know, especially a defensive player, right? Because defensive player is really about, you know, either, like Eric Devers says, look, either you want to take a full-grown man to the ground or you don't. At the end of the day, that's what it's about. That's what's about defense is playing about. Look, either you're going to take this man to the ground or you're not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the knock on Akello was his physicality. And there were times that you could tell he made an effort to say, hey, this is a knock on me. This is something I'm being coached. Like, hey, you need to be more physical. But
he's had like a little roller coaster when it comes to sticking his nose in there. He's always been more of a finesse corner, though, that's for sure. But yes, definitely.
I always felt his mentality of being a doctor and understanding what he was doing to his body. I.e., hey, look, my hamstring's tight. You feel me? If I go out there, I do risk tearing it. You know, I know this. Obviously, I'm assuming he took some type of pre-med things in college. You feel me? And if he wants to be a doctor, has some knowledge of the human body. Yeah, I think there was an element of that. And look, I'm not saying, and I don't want to knock Akello as a human being, because look, look, I have 2 sons, and whether I'm, you know, the world's greatest father or not, like, you know, my sons came up to me. They said, "Hey, Dad, I have really a legit shot at going pro. Should I do it?" And I would say, "Look, have you finished your education?" And if we're not talking about like first round, if we're saying, they tell me, "Hey, Dad, I could be a 6th round pick." Say, "Have you finished your education?" Because honestly, I feel that you should really live by that 3 rule, son. And so I do believe the NFL should be used as an opportunity to make yourself some serious cash that you're probably not going to make at most jobs, to elevate you into the next stage of your life. And so if I was Akello father, that's what I would tell him. Hey, use this first 4 years to put yourself in a position to go be a doctor and elevate your life. But
and that was going to be my next point. My next point was going to be, wouldn't you put yourself in a position to at least get like a nice 1-2 year deal after your rookie contract? I guess maybe he's made enough where he feels I'm chilling and I can maybe take the next step. But I would have figured you at least would put yourself in a position where maybe you at least try to get a nice multi-million-dollar 1-year deal. At least.
Yeah, and so as we get close to wrapping up here and everything like that, I think the big news of the day, which you know, Jamie, as you watch this later, because I don't see you right now. Good, we gotta do something about it with Good Morning Niner Empire or something, because I do believe that's pretty big news. But if I think really what the elephant in the room with Kyle Shanahan saying is, look, let's just say he's not coach talking. He really does expect Jimmy Garoppolo to be the starting quarterback. I think that's, look, for the price of what we're gonna pay. Right, I don't believe we could upgrade from Jimmy Garoppolo, which is what essentially. Now I did come out and say I didn't think he would be on the team, but when I first started really questioning it is I said, look, what I think happens is they look at it and they say, look, for the price we have to pay and the contract, which, hey, we could easily get out after 2021 and 2022 being the last year. So for saying, hey, for the price of what we have,
2021 off season, I guess.
Yeah, well, regardless, it's a year-to-year contract.
Sure.
To have the flexibility of a quarterback, at the price of 27, whatever the cap is around 27 million, we cannot get an upgrade, especially with the contract flexibility. If we get an Aaron Rodgers, a Matt Ryan, whoever, Dak Prescott, whoever you want to name, they're not going to want to get a contract they can get out of in 2 years. Hell no. Think Aaron Rodgers is only going to come here on a 2-year contract? No. You're going to pay Aaron Rodgers.
Let me ask you something while we're on the subject. And we've talked about rookie quarterbacks and everything. Let's just say no Matt Ryan. Aaron Rodgers is not happening next year. And Jordan Love is at least going to stay 1 more year.
Yes.
And some people do not like the guy. I think he's a solid quarterback, and I think he would have fit in the offense very great because we're not a deep ball kind of team. I wouldn't mind drafting a quarterback, obviously first round. But Phillip Rivers is going to be a free agent, and I think he could fit the offense very well if Shanny thinks he could be an upgrade to Jimmy for just a year, then the rookie will be available the year after.
Okay, so okay, fine. So
Eric Davis said no. So I think you asked Eric Davis, and somebody responded after you and asked, "What about Phillip Rivers?" Because Eric Davis thinks we're going to draft a quarterback and have a different vet quarterback.
Yeah.
And he said no to Phillip Rivers. I don't know why. I just don't think he likes him. A lot of people don't. A lot of people, they'll just never forget some of the past turnovers and shit. In my own personal opinion, the Chargers still don't have a damn offensive line. He's never really played with one either. And he had to force a lot of stuff because the Chargers were just not that good at times. I mean, we all know what happens when you try to force things.
It's what I've called to what I've been saying. If future me comes to me tonight after the show and says, "Hey, Jimmy's our quarterback in 2021," what I would expect that to be is that they felt, hey, for the price and the contract flexibility, and he's loved in the locker room, and like John Lynch said, hey, all we know is when number 10's on that field, we win more times than we don't. And to think that Jimmy Garoppolo, if given another opportunity, can't now will he is a different question. If you think that Jimmy can't hit that pass to Emmanuel Sanders and win that Super Bowl, if you think that he can't, if that ball doesn't get tipped by Chris Jones and gets Kittle who's wide open, if they don't call the OPI, if you don't think these plays can happen and we can win a Super Bowl, then you're smoking. Like, of course these plays can happen. It's.
And I don't expect the quarterback to be perfect, but week 1 with KB, that would have been a W right there.
Yeah, exactly.
We could have been 5-5.
Or Churchill. And so I think that it's hard to get a good quarterback.
It is.
B, I don't think they're going to be able to get an upgrade for Jimmy Garoppolo for what makes sense financially and contract wise and everything. And if he's on the team. And B, but I do say that Kim and I discussed is I do say that you have to have some type of flexibility. You have to bring in some type of competition. You can't go and say, hey, Jimmy Garoppolo.
I think that's going to be a rookie. I think that has to be a first round rookie.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. If you tell me, hey, that we're having a quarterback that's saying, hey, look, if he beats you out, Jimmy, then we'll make it. And I feel that Jimmy Garoppolo has to feel next season, hey, look, if I don't play up to snuff, right, I have a quarterback that they'll go to. You feel me? Because even if that quarterback is saying, hey, we're punting on the season, I think people will accept it because if you say, hey, look, if Jimmy Garoppolo is not our starting, if our starting quarterback, whether it be Jimmy Garoppolo, whoever, is not, we're not winning the Super Bowl next year. Okay. I don't think we're going to our backup quarterback and winning the Super Bowl next year. So if you tell me that quarterback is, hey, this is the quarterback that we're going with, that's the future, that's hey, with the franchise guy we're hanging our hats on, that John Lynch and I are willing to risk our jobs on. You feel me? Because I think it's very clear if it's a rookie quarterback and that quarterback doesn't work, you might hear some whispers about John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, maybe not their jobs not being so secure. or at least about there being changes.
Look what happened with a rookie quarterback has done for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, if anything, I think that could be the justifier that he might need is drafting a first-round quarterback and play it by ear. And
and like we said many times on the show, that we feel that I don't think it's any mistake that one of the Joe Montana's greatest years was the year that they traded for Steve Young. You feel me?
No, so I think that's what a competitor should be doing.
If I ask you, what was his greatest Super Bowl performance? Everybody would say Super Bowl 24. No, Super Bowl 24. Broncos, 55-10.
Oh, okay.
I would think that would people say would be Joe's probably greatest. What you would say his Picasso was.
You don't remember the score against the Dolphins, do you?
38-16.
At least on offense.
38-19. 38-19.
Okay, so still some points, but not quite as high.
It was clear that was just. Now you could make an argument that was one of the greatest. You could say if any team would rival that 84 team, you would say it would be that 89 team. Or sorry, the 88 the 89 team. You feel me? That you would say the two greatest Niner teams that were assembled, at least under the Joe Montana era, were the 84 and 89 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the best two Super Bowl teams. Out of the four. So you may make an argument for the 94 team. But I don't think that's a mistake. Obviously competition, iron sharpens iron, whatever it says. I do believe that I will go on the show and say I will say that I think what you're saying is they're going to draft a quarterback.
Yeah, because the only other person I think the answer is what do you got to bring in?
I think the answer is look, this is honestly, if you would tell me what would be the best situation for the Niners is I think essentially you say, okay, if you say that Jimmy Garoppolo is the guy, hey, if what we're taking Shanahan for his word right now and saying that Jimmy Garoppolo is our starting quarterback going in 2021.
I mean, by default, of course. What else are you going to do? Especially if you want to keep his trade value intact, and God knows what his trade value even is right now. Of course, you're going to say something like that. Once again, I keep thinking about New England and him going back over there.
I think
maybe we get a Phillip Rivers, draft a quarterback, and maybe everyone's happy. I don't know.
I don't think you're going to straight up release Jimmy Garoppolo. I think there needs to be I do believe that there needs to be the thought of, hey, then we will go forward with Jimmy Garoppolo as our quarterback. And whether teams call Kyle Shanahan's bluff or not is, I think, what depends on whether Jimmy Garoppolo is our starting quarterback or not. Just like with CJ Beathard, hey, we have 3 starting quarterbacks. We'll keep 3 starting quarterbacks. Teams called Kyle Shanahan's bluff, and so he had to keep 3 quarterbacks.
Right, and look at for example the Bears. They took a shot on Nick Foles because he kind of has scheme skill. He did have a scheme familiarity, but even though his contract wasn't the best, I believe he literally has like a $20-25 million cap hit. Nick Foles is, but they took a shot and they traded for him to put themselves in the best position. So I do think even though Jimmy hasn't played that much and he hasn't even do that great, I still think you could possibly squeeze out, for example, bare minimum, say a 5th. If the Patriots want to take a chance on him again, and then if it doesn't work out for them, we know it's freaking Bill Belichick. He's not going to give a shit about giving up a 5th-round pick for you.
First of all, I don't think we're going to get a 2nd-round pick with Jimmy Garoppolo.
No.
Second of all, I do think because I'll put it to you this way: because if you tell me that Jimmy Garoppolo gets traded, it's obviously to New England, and I just don't think that Bill Belichick is going to give up a 2nd-round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo.
No. At best, probably a 3rd.
Especially when he looks at you and says, "Who else are you trading him to?"
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's supply and demand. A 4th is probably what I would say right now.
3rd.
It'll probably be a mid-3rd. I guess a mid-3rd will be fair if they finish 7-9, 8-8.
Okay, so then what you're saying the plan is, and this plan actually, honestly, when you look at the overall team, right, and you say, cool, so we traded our 3rd round for Trent Williams, we trade Jimmy. With the cap savings, we're obviously going to sign Trent Williams. Cool. So let's just say Trent Williams gets a 4-year deal, 5-year deal, 4-year deal with a 5th-year option.
Okay.
So you essentially got him for a rookie deal, 4-year rookie deal for a 3rd-round pick. And we traded Jimmy Garoppolo with the cap savings that we essentially swapped for Trent Williams for a 3rd-round pick that we ended up getting back. That was probably going to be around a mid-3rd rounder anyway.
Or something like that. But, yeah, at least you'll get that back. And then you sign Phillip Rivers, draft a first-round quarterback, draft a corner, draft an edge, offensive lineman, run it back.
I think what they do is if you're going to keep Jimmy Garoppolo, or at least fine, you keep him in the training camp and maybe a team trades for him at camp, right? Whatever. Mm-hmm. You are going to sign somewhat of a, I don't want to say a high-end free agent, but somebody that's going to make Jimmy sweat a little bit.
I was thinking about someone to make. Wouldn't that be a? Well, you said to make who sweat? Jimmy? I thought he'd be gone in this scenario.
Make him sweat. Jimmy's going to start, but it's
I felt like he's gone in this scenario.
I would like to say somebody competent. Look, honestly, I think at the end of the day, if you want, you can't go. You have to prepare that Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to play 16 games. So if you want to go and say, hey, we have a Super Bowl window, we want to compete for a championship in 2021. That's the message that you want to send to the faithful. Then you have to have a quarterback that's not Nick Mullins.
Yeah.
As a backup. And you draft a rookie, that rookie's inactive all year, 3rd rounder. Maybe that rookie's the backup.
Oh, yeah, I would definitely think so. I would hope so.
Either that, or at the end of the day, you would at least say, hey, we're punting on 2021, and us faithful say, okay, cool.
Stop right there.
At least we're going to get the development of the future. I don't think we're going to punt on 2021.
No. That's why I'm kind of thirsty to go 8-8 and above, and that's why I was going to look up earlier. So the top 2 choices, most people at this point just want draft positioning. I don't necessarily blame them. I don't necessarily agree. I think it would be great if I at least went 8-8 and above. We said, like we talked about last show, it's like, look how we went 8-8 with everything and all the circumstances we faced. I think that is something you can kind of build towards you on, especially if, say, Jimmy comes back to the last game, puts us at 8-8, and then we go on to the next season, and he has a great game. Obviously, people are gonna have a different kind of feeling going into the off season. So my goal is 8-8 and above. But yes, at the end of the day, there is no obviously punting on 2021. I think it's a matter of getting healthy, have a good free agency and draft, and we'll be right back in the mix. And I think that's not necessarily all you can ask for. I think that's just what it is.
I think what I've always said, and this is what tanking to me has always been, is as I understand what people say is obviously, you know what, they did going 4-12. Do we think going 4-12 in 2018 and getting the 2nd overall pick in the draft that had Nick Bosa changed this franchise? Of course, you'd be retarded to say that it didn't.
Yeah,
but if you go and you say, okay, fine, you say quarterbacks are number 1 draft pick.
Was available number 2 as well.
So very lucky, exactly, and that's what circumstances. If any other team besides Arizona is picking number one, who knows what happens?
And we got lucky because we were tied with the Jets and Raiders, if you recall, but we actually had the tiebreaker over both of them.
Circumstances, it's all how it falls. And so my whole thing about it is even look at the year we drafted Patrick Willis. Are we taking Patrick Willis with the number 3 overall pick? Probably not. I mean, you would have to go back and think who was, available. But my point is, I'll even go to a more realistic route where you look at quarterbacks. Who was the best quarterback taken in the 2017 draft? Obviously, Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. Was he the first quarterback taken? No, he was the second.
So my point about
it, so Kansas City, I'm assuming they were further back, but do you think Kansas City says, hey, look, they traded up to number 10. We're going to take our quarterback, Alex Smith, for 1 year, which a lot of people say, hey, Jimmy's just a more handsome Alex Smith or whatever like that. Fine. And, we're going forward going forward. And so my point about it is if you want your quarterback, you're going to take him. And you're going to pay whatever it is, just because that's just one of those positions. It's like, hey, this is what you got to do. And
I'm telling you, dude, it's going to happen because it's a good quarterback class. I know we're going to take one in the first round. Watch.
And my whole thing about it is
like this is the year to do it. You don't have to be super desperate.
I think fans get so wrapped up in one season, and they say we got to do whatever we got win 2020. That's all that matters. And instead of relaxing and saying, hey, look, you really want to think that I'm not saying it would happen, but questions to say, hey, look, it's you don't want losing in that locker room. You don't want to build a culture of losing.
That's what I'm saying. If this was 2017, 2018, we kind of did it a little bit in 2018. From what I remember, not necessarily benching them guys, but it was like little BS injuries so the younger guys can play. So we kind of did it. I mean, once again, I mean, what are we gonna say? We take to get the Saints after we went up 10-0. We just kind of threw it in the bag. I mean,
no. You're not walking, and we'll go ahead and end after this. You're not walking away from this Saints game and saying, yeah, that's the team that tanked.
And you're just saying that's mathematically eliminated, in my opinion. Fine. If we're mathematically eliminated, then maybe you do a few moves where the young guys start.
Well, yeah. Then you're seeing McKivitz. Then you're seeing, whatever. Travarius Moore.
Yeah. Guys that are a little banged up. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Right.
But I feel that what kind of message does that say to your locker room that says, hey, I don't think you guys can get it done? You don't, you're not going to turn over the whole roster next year. Now, I understand there are a lot of free agents and there will be roster turnover. One thing we're definitely not going to do is run it back. There will be roster turnover. But
sure.
Running back, I meant running back literally in terms of putting the best together team possible and you try to make another run.
Of course. And I think that's what the team does. I think the goal is always, I would hope the goal is going to be the Super Bowl. Because I find it hard to believe that with the core of the team, if you want to say whatever at quarterback, let's ignore that. But you want to say, hey, look, Kittle, Debo, and upgrade, and beat Brandon Ayuk over Emmanuel Sanders. But you're saying, okay, cool. The core of the offense still there. Raheem, maybe you bring back Juice. Okay, fine. The defense, Nick Bosa, obviously, D Ford and DeForest Buckner, but Armstead, Kinlaw, you insert Kinlaw, Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner, Jimmy Ward. So you start to look at this team and you say, hey, look, that's at least a semblance of a team I saw in the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
And you can't look at that roster and say
team.
Exactly. And it's not about. And you can't tell me, hey, the momentum created in Seattle and getting the bye week, okay, and you could maybe even say, Minnesota upsetting the Saints.
The Rams play the Bucs this week, and that's what kind of hurt too. It wasn't about us letting that 10-0 lead go. It was the Cardinals getting super lucky as hell, and it was the Rams pulling up the upset against the Seahawks. And I was like, man, at least if they lost two, we would have been a game and a half back. Maybe they both would have lost this week, then we would have been back just one game. So that one kind of hurt. But let's be honest, we should have beat the Cardinals. We beat the Rams, and then the Seahawks. We had an opportunity to go up, but we didn't. But we still. What does that prove about the division? And as depleted as we are, I mean, and we get back everybody next season and build upon that. I mean, That's why I think we'll be right back in the mix next season. I mean, I'm not going to guarantee it, but we'll be back in the mix.
And yeah, that's my downtrodden feelings about Sunday was more about Arizona winning and the Yams winning.
Exactly.
Because to me, the division it is what it is. You know, we're not going to win the division this year. So to me, it was strictly best case scenario wild card. And so you want to say, okay, you want Arizona and LA to lose.
Right.
And especially with saying, okay, we play LA with a chance to sweep, only be one game back, 1.5, whatever. Cool. We play Arizona again. Fine. But all right, y'all. I think we're gonna go ahead and end it on that. We're gonna be back on Friday to go ahead and kind of just go over more of a bigger picture type of view and get into what we've felt about the season so far.
And make sure you play the Cardinals on Thursday Night Football, so we'll have something to talk about too then.
Of course, and Arizona loses that game. You beat LA. I think you get a little bit of a different feeling.
At least one of the two will lose, and we're hoping the Rams will lose, and then we'll see where the hell things are at.
We'll see where everything's at. All right, y'all. Yep. Make sure to follow Adam at 49ers Outsiders on Twitter. You can follow us, Niner Faithful Radio, at Niner Faithful Radio on Facebook and Instagram, and Niner Faithful R on Facebook. Make sure to go cop your Faithful Then, Faithful Now gear available at Niner Faithful Radio Shop. And the website being NinerFaithfulRadio.com/shop. Till Friday. See y'all then. Faith, love, and happiness. Please remember, the San Francisco 49ers don't always lose a game, but when we do, we're still the best team in NFL history. Stay faithful, my friends. Go Niners.
All right, y'all. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.
Yeah.